Hello and greetings to everybody. Thank you once again. It's a pleasure to be here. And you're welcome once again to the MarkHack 4.0 Preconversation Series curated by Eco Innovation Center in collaboration with the GDM Group. Special shout out to the founder, Mr. Binga Afolabi, as we like to call him, BGA, really. My name is Antonia Nyao, and I'm the Programs Officer at Eco Innovation Center and your host for this year's MarkHack event. It's such a pleasure to have you join us as we continue building momentum towards the main conference happening on the 23rd of May, yes, this month, in less than 2 weeks, 3 weeks actually, at the prestigious Landmark Event Center. And we kicked off this season on April 23rd with a powerful pilot conversation titled Storytelling as Fuel, Crafting Narratives That Drive Consumer Loyalty. And it's featured four incredible speakers, Gospel, Okiki, Jessica, and of course, Olusesan. And the common trend across all the insights that they shared that day was the power of authenticity and the importance of knowing your why as a brand. It just kept on reverberating throughout the whole pre-conversation event. And of course, last week we built on that momentum laid by the pilot episodes to this year's pre-conversation event. And we kept the energy high with the topic gamification and engagement, making consumers part of the story. And we had Oluwanifemi, who helped us simplify gamification as simply a reward systems, right? He just deconstructed the topic and he emphasized that the rewards from gamification, you implementing gamification in your business doesn't always have to have like a financial reward systems to it. At the end of the day, it's all about valuation, the values you're giving to your customer. And of course, we had Lois also, Lois White, who joined us and also brought a sharp lens to how businesses, especially in education, healthcare, and phygital spaces, can tap into gamification meaningfully. And he highlighted the importance of understanding your business, right? Understanding your business, linking back to the point that was laid at the pilot of this year's event session episode where they spoke about understanding your why. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're diving in a very timely and relevant conversation. We're going to be talking about the death of traditional retail and why Phygital is the only future. Before going forward, I just want to take the time to thank our amazing, amazing audience. Thank you for joining the conversation today. You are the reason we're here today, and we hope you gain a lot of insight on today's session. During the conversation, if you have any questions, you can just drop it in the chat room if you're joining us on Zoom live. And then if you're streaming from YouTube, you can just drop your questions on the comment sections. We'll have a way of linking your questions to our panelists, and I'm sure they would do justice to the questions. So just continuing on. Yeah, continuing on in the conversation, we're talking about the death of traditional retail, why phygital is the only future. And we're going to be exploring what the future of consumer experience looks like at the intersection of the physical and the digital. And today we're honored to be joined by two outstanding thought leaders in this space. You know, we do not bring anything short of excellence to you, right? So when I introduce the speakers, you know that they are the cream de la creme, right, of the industry, right? And first up, I have with me Alexandra Olumide Olafari. I hope I pronounced your name rightly, who is the Director of Demand Generations at Reliance Health. Hi, Alex. Alex, so nice for you to join us today. Could you just take a minute and just tell us about yourself and also your expectations for today's conversation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, and great to be here. Thank you for the warm introduction. My name is Alex, as you mentioned, preferably called Alex. I'm the currently director of demand gen at Reliance Health. I'm in charge of lead generation, customer experience at a digital level, as well as bringing in customer experiences and tailoring them to superb services. That's really what I do. I have background in e-commerce operations, marketing, platform strategy. I've been lucky to work previously at TravelStart, Waka Now, Deal Day, and VConnect, where I kind of honed my skills in what I currently do. Thank you very much. That's basically it about me.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you for joining in today. We're so excited to hear some of the insights and the strategies that you'd be sharing with us. Part of the community joining us are the participants of the hackathon program of the MarkHack event. They had already pitched, and then we have 10 finalists we are finalists that have emerged winners. Of course, all of them are winners, but they are just a number of people that we can attend to. So we, out of the remarkable solutions that pitched their ideas and their visions and solutions to our panel of selection jurors, we have finalists who will be going on to the main event, the final pitch event that will be happening on the 23rd of May at Landmark Event Center. And there they would tell us why they should be the winners of the MarkHack 4.0. So I'm sure they are eagerly waiting to gain insights from you for not just the competition, because this is just a part of their journey, right? But also to implement in the success story of their solutions and their startups. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, special thank you to Mr. Alex. And next, I will go to Mr. Dami. Mr. Dami, so nice of you to join the conversation. If you could just help us out and tell us more about yourself and your expectations for today's conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Antonia. You're always doing justice to this welcome thing. My name is Dami Ogunyooye, and I'm currently the growth and product marketing manager for Phygital. We're an edtech company, software development. So I'd say my job is to, get leads, generate leads, qualify them, create more awareness, as to what we do. Make sure that when you're sourcing for certain products that we have in the edtech space, we are your go-to people. Making sure that everyone has a deep understanding of what we do and the solution we're looking to provide in the marketplace. I'd say my expectations for today is just to share as much value as I can. I never see myself as someone that knows so much, so please don't answer Antonia. I'm here to learn from Alex and just share the little experience that I have. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. How modest of you. Thank you very much. Well, you've heard it from the horse's mouth, right? And just to go over the bio of our speakers, as you well know, it's our culture to give honor to whom honor is due. You've heard from them already, but just to give a brief summary, we had earlier Alexander who spoke to us, and he did tell us that he prefers to be addressed as Alex, right? So Alex is the director of demand generation at Reliance Health, and he leads marketing efforts across Nigeria, Egypt, and Senegal, driving growth through paid media, CRM, and conversion strategies across both B2B and B2C funnels. Beyond this role at Reliance, he also runs a consultancy, I beg your pardon, helping startups and SMEs build strong brand strategies. Ladies and gentlemen, please put it up for Mr. Alex. And next, I'll be reading the bio of the remarkable Dami, who is the growth and product marketing manager at Phygital. Dami is an expert in driving product adoption and growth, particularly in the edtech space, and he brings a sharp understanding of how digital products meet human needs. Ladies and gentlemen, relax, no, don't relax. Share the link with your friends, with your colleagues. Tell them that it's happening here, right? And we're going to have an insightful session. So please grab your notepads, drop your questions, like I said, in the chat, and we are ready to fly on cruise level. And with that, I'm going to be channeling the first set of questions to Dami. Dami, in your role at Phygital, how have you set the challenge of creating seamless learning experiences that integrate both digital and physical touch points? Thank you, Dami.
Thank you for that question, Antonia. So I'd say that in Phygital, we don't directly, create or deliver content to learners, end users. What we do is we provide, that flexible and scalable set of products, a suite of products. So we have the Edify LMS, we have the students' information systems. So we deploy these to institutions, universities, and corporate bodies, who upload and manage their own curriculum, right? So what I'd say, our role is to ensure that, the learning delivery and the infrastructure is very seamless, right? Especially when clients operate, a hybrid or blended learning. So I'd say one other thing to note is that for a number of us who are not Gen Zs, we understood, or we understand how stressful it was to always take your course form, print it out, take it, you have to walk kilometers or miles to get your course advisor to sign on it before you get to your HOD, and all of that. We also, saw the gap where someone maybe in Abeokuta, Ogun State, has the need or is very interested in attending ABU Zaria. And you can understand that, very long distance. So we came up with certain products, or a suite of products that would bridge that gap, in terms of the physical and digital world. And currently, we deployed our Edify LMS to certain institutions, which I don't think I'll mention here. And it birthed, or has, if some of you must have, come across the distant learning, platform, where you can also go to these schools without being in the four walls of a classroom. You have all your classes online and all of that. All you now need to do is during your exams, you probably get centers around you, so that you can be monitored. And I would say that from Phygital alone, we've had over 6,000 graduates from the DLC programs. And then we also, put together the Enrollee SIS, which is a student information system. So you don't necessarily have to stress yourself, walk all the way, start looking for your course advisors, start doing all of that. Everything is automated right now. So I'd say that in Phygital, these are some of the ways, that I've been able to merge this together and bridge, that gap. And I would say, yeah, that's it pretty much from my end. Thank you.
Well, thank you. How modest of you. That's a beautiful feat. You said 6,000. Oh, that's remarkable. Oh, congratulations. And we look forward to celebrating more wins from you. When you're talking, I was just asking myself some questions that where was DigiLearn when I was in school? Because I always dreaded resumption times, right? Because then you'd have to go to the bursary unit, you have to go to your department unit, and you have to go to your faculty with all the paper filings and all of that and all of that. And this is technology making it seamless, making it easier, right, for the customer. And that's what technology is all about. As my boss would always say, technology is an enabler, right? It comes to make things easy, right, and seamless. And that's what DigiLearn, I beg your pardon, is doing, right? And just like you cited, Phygital is just really the convergence of the physical and then the digital world, really, right? And with that, I'll be going to Alex. Alex, I'll be asking you the next set of questions. In your role at Reliance Health, how have you seen the integration experiences impact consumer trust and lead generation outcomes?
Thank you very much. So from my end, really, at Reliance, lead generation has really been behind that engine. I'll say, when you talk about Phygital, it goes two ways. Some people start as digital first and move offline, and some people start as offline first and move into the digital space. And because we are we're more or less a service business. Uh, Lead generation, both on the customer side and on the partner side, is really the backbone. Uh, what we realized at some point is we all know the economic realities now. Uh, there's a lot of tension when it comes to finances, and you will always have competition. Businesses will always spring up, entrepreneurship is booming. What goes on then is how do you keep your customers? Pricing is always a race to the bottom. You can't always play with price. And as a result, you have to play on service. You have to sell less and serve more. And that's how you kind of keep your customer base as well as extend the lifetime value of those customers. So, what have we seen overall? At some point, we saw a lot of churn. Companies started to size down on some of the plans they were buying for their staff. Even staff prior to COVID, even now, many of them don't really take their health as a priority. That is, companies pay for their staff, but people don't really utilize. So what we were able to do at some point is to reduce some of the experiences of our existing customers by improving that experience they have, rather than, because we kind of like ship out. We don't own hospitals as it were because of the kind of nature of, so we didn't used to. But because of the need to provide a bit more excellent service, what we then had to start doing is rolling out what we call Reliance Family Clinics. And that's moving into the offline space, putting boots on the ground, having our doctors maintaining our quality. And what that did was it significantly improved our NPS scores. And what does that mean really? Because we couldn't tell if, a customer went to Lagbaja Hospital and had to wait 5 hours because they had to verify, his plan. You walk into a Reliance Health hospital, all you just need to show is, the app, and you don't need to wait more than a second to get treated. We're able to control the quality, of service and kind of like maintain that level of satisfaction. And what that did at the end of the day is it gave us a lot of leverage when we are talking to more customers to generate new leads. For instance, just last year, we had about 400,000 tele consults, right? What that means is that 400,000 people got treated by their doctors or got served by their doctors over their mobile phones, either by video or by audio. And that's kind of like almost a first. Secondly, at Reliance Family Clinics, it takes you just 15 seconds to kind of like book an appointment. You walk into a physical location, and it kind of like merged that digital first approach we took to a more controlled approach of we know who you are as a customer and we can provide you the best of service. So that's one of the ways that we've kind of like tailored it, how we've tailored our product to cater to both online and offline markets, as well as maintain that lead generation satisfaction that customers really need.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I love a common factor that I'm sensing here. It's the facts for me, right? We had the amazing job that DigiLearn was had over 6,000 people, and then we have another feat from Alex from Reliance Health, which is 4,000 treated customers at a go. Well, that's phenomenal. And one of the traits we see that Phygital is giving birth to is borderless engagement, right, with your customer, right? So it gives room to increase capacity, right? Which we invaluable also results in a higher returns, financial returns at the end of the day, right? And once again, we're talking about the death of the traditional retail, and we're speaking of to why Phygital is the only future, right? And according to PwC, it says that more than 73% of consumers say that customer experience is a key factor in purchasing decision. And with the trend of the world, we're seeing that customers are tuning into comfort, right? And one way to really reach out to these people is through the Phygital model, right? And with that, I'm going to be asking my next set of questions to Dami. Dami, as VigiLearn focuses on growth and product marketing, what are some innovative strategies that you have implemented? You've given us some amazing figures, right, to some of the tractions that you've made. So what are some of the amazing innovative strategies that you've implemented to ensure that customer journeys are cohesive from initial engagement to post-purchase support?
Amazing question. And while you were asking me, the only thing that rang in my head was go back the basics, and I know that the question says innovative, but the truth is in marketing, the basics never lie. You just tweak a few things. But to answer that question, I mean, we already know that VigiLearn, runs a B2B software as a service model, right? And we take relationship management very seriously. So what I would say some of the approaches, that we've deployed would be targeted demand generation, where we create awareness. I mean, we've started to move into the MENA region and some parts of the sub-Saharan Africa region, outside of Nigeria, right? And we make sure that, we have that platform walkthrough, in terms of demos. We leverage testimonials, which is why I'm emphasizing on the basics, we leverage testimonials and of course targeted ads. And there's something we are currently doing now, which are CSR programs. And we have two sets of target audiences. We have the institutions where we train the trainers, so we partner with other institutions to, train lecturers, teachers, and then that in itself helps us convert. I mean, this is an enclosed thing, so I can spill a bit, that helps us convert because we are giving back to the community, right? And for the users, individual users, because like I said, we have a suite of products, not just the SI, the Student Information System, which is Enrollee, and the Edify LMS. We also have a video conferencing platform, and we also deploy this to users, right? And we're currently also getting in, interns that want to learn, or transition into tech, right? And we also have some workshops. Now, what do? We use our video conferencing platform to run these, webinars, trainings, workshops. And at the end of the day, the conversion, sometimes blows our minds, right? So I'd say for a start, at the start of this user journey, this is what we do. Then the tailored onboarding is a no-brainer. It's non-negotiable, sign up, post sign up. We work closely with with the clients. If it's in the academic sector, if it's in the corporate world, we work with the admins in the school or the HR team, helping them structure how, they set up their programs, on the platform and all of that, onboarding, giving access to the super admins. And we even go as far as training their staff so that we don't have monopoly of these things. Yes, we are there when you need us, but, we don't have monopoly of these things. And we even go as much as white labeling it for the platform. And, lastly, I'll just say that we support integration, right? I'm not trying to brag, but for Antonia says I'm modest. Our technical support team is 24/7. Sometimes I see even on Sundays where there's some clients, are like, please, we really need your help. And, we painstakingly go out of our ways to help them. So I'd say that this is the journey, as to how we make sure and ensure that, the customer journey is cohesive, from the initial engagement to post-purchase support. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm not going to accuse you, right? But you're really remarkable, and thanks for some of those strategies that you shared with us, building really tailored towards establishing trust in the hearts of your customers, right? And with that, I'll just quickly flow still on strategies. Alex, just to add to what Dami has said, as traditional retail declines, what are some strategies marketers must adopt to ensure continuity and personalization across touch points? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thanks, Demi. I think we have a lot in common, and you should brag about it really, because it's not easy. I think two of the things we have in common, first is leveraging testimonials. You just cannot underestimate the power of what somebody says about somebody else, especially when it's genuine, right? I think the second thing is customer support round the clock. I mean, the amount of effort we've put in to make sure that every call gets picked within the first 15 seconds of waiting at Reliance Health, it's I can't take it for granted. I mean, I wasn't there when the work started, but I have contributed to where it is now, and I can say it's been a wild ride. So, providing excellent support service is really the key. I think further to that, something we've always done from a B2B side and a B2C side is proper segmentation. I think it's one of those topics that is always spoken about, but always kind of underemphasized. Segmentation is really important. There's nothing sweeter than talking to somebody at his point of need, in the way the problem is, is pinching him in his shoes. Is, for instance, one thing we were able to, one solution we were able to roll out some 2 years ago at Reliance Health was that for HRs, if you have a company that has over 5,000 staff, we can onboard close to 5,000, if not more than 5,000 of your staff in less than 5 minutes. And that's like, when we started, it seems like a bold claim when we start to talk about it, but by the time the job was done, some people still don't believe it. It's when you try that you do, get that real feeling. And it's why customers, sometimes we've had customers that churned. They say maybe we're too pricey or this or that. Then they leave for somewhere else. But what we realize is that they end up coming back. Sometimes it might not take a while, it might not be in the immediate, but they do come back. And why? Is because the level of service that we do provide for you on a B2B front, that is helping your workflow, and the way our customers, that is the end user, your staff, really talk about us at the end of the day, it kind of resonates with the level of service. And that's why I said at the beginning, it's especially when you start to talk about Phygital more often, and that's why it even became important, because people, they wanted to buy, but they want to buy with trust. People constantly wanted people. There's the world cannot rotate without trade. Buying and selling is an everyday thing. But with the way the world is now, where people just like to pick up their phone, make a purchase, trust is important. And for trust to really go around, you need to make sure that you're providing the right service. People can vouch for you. People can speak about you. And when they do experience you, you don't drop the ball, and you speak to their pain points. As at when it's just about serving and not selling at some point. And at that point, you realize that even when you adjust your prices, because it's always inevitable, people will always know you for your service. People will choose you for your service and nothing else. Over to you, Anthony. I don't know if you're still there.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Let's
afternoon.
just give her a minute. I believe it's the network. She be active shortly.
Yeah. Does Damilola have a question? I think that question maybe is for Alex or something.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Damilola Odushola.
Okay, I see an hand up. Damola, can you unmute and say something?
Hi, good afternoon. Fantastic stuff so far. My question is in two parts. One is around lead generation, and the second one is around sales cycle. Similar space as you, B2B space, and one of the things that we face challenges in is lead generation. We use the traditional method of email marketing, and we support it with social media marketing as well. But for us, one of our biggest challenges, we are trying to push our brand out there. We're trying to make sure that everybody knows about us. We are not as big as your organization, so we don't have the capital to throw on running ads. So we try and leverage the little that we can. Our target audience is mostly on LinkedIn, as we are in the B2B sector. So my question is, in terms of trying to grow that number of companies that you're dealing with, would you say has been your most successful lead generation strategy? Are you doing email marketing primarily? Do you generate email leads, or how do you generate your leads and nurture them? And then in terms of sales cycle, how do you then close clients quicker? For us, because of the nature of the business that we do, it requires that the board has to approve the transaction itself. So we usually have situations whereby the amount of people or the amount of meetings that we need to speak to always requires that. I mean, it's just a very long time. It takes about 3 to 6 months to close one deal, especially depending on how large the organization is. So again, first question around lead generation. What has been your most successful lead generation strategy? How well has it helped you generate clients? And then in terms of sales cycles, what has been, if you have any tips or any tricks that you can share with us on how you can reduce the sales cycle period when you're trying to close a client? Thank you.
I can go first in that. I don't know if Dami also would like to support me. But I think from my experience, what I've done is it may seem advanced the higher you go, but it's really just expanding on some basic fundamentals. And that's really understanding your marketing funnel, understanding which channels to leverage on your marketing funnel, and emphasize sales or emphasize your activities depending on where you are as a business. There's what we call a digital benchmark. It's a framework developed by Google and I think BCG Consulting Group. Um, what it basically means is it helps you identify what stage your business is at any point in time. Are you connected? Are you integrated or whatnot? So that's the first thing you need to figure out. And once you have that done, I mean, you might have a small budget, but you do have a budget. You need to work in stages. You need to first work in your upper funnel. People need to get to know, understand what you're about. It's more or less like breaking the ice in the conversation. And that's really the upper funnel. You move people down the funnel into your engagement phase. There's going to be a couple of people that engage with your audience. You need to make sure you capture those people, have them stored, And that's where data starts to become the engine that powers your marketing activities. Once you have those data stored, you make sure that you leverage those, remarket to them, retarget to them, speak to them. At some point, you'll capture one of three things, or four things, or even five things: the cookie of their browser, their email, their phone number, or something else I don't even know. But once you have any of these data points, and that's what you then use to follow up, you keep on following up. Make sure you avoid overexposure. Overexposure can be frustrating, but make sure that you time it properly. With the age of AI, and you also have AI agents, you can always set the right frequency, and that will help you not only keep people who are not ready engaged, but also keep people who are ready to purchase from you, understanding what your business is about. And really, that's really the top and middle of the funnel. I think when you get to the bottom of the funnel, and that's when you really target people who are currently looking for what you are searching for. And there's one tool that does that best, which is Google Ads. It might be a bit expensive, but you can't get it wrong. Once you have your data, you have the data of people who have engaged with you previously. You have some source data from people who are current customers. You have people who are very likely potential customers, but maybe they haven't converted. You need to find a way to feed that information back to these systems. They have tons of AI functionality that help you look for people that are similar to those, and that's a way to really like scale your lead generation engine. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if Dami, thanks Alex for that insight. I don't know if Dami also has some highlights you'd like to, funnily enough, to answer the audience who also his name's Dami. So Dami, do you have any insight for Dami?
There's a lot of funny to that, but that's for after. I don't think I have much to say to what Alex has said. I think for us, because I can relate with where his company is at, based on what he said in terms of revenue or budget allocated to that. At some point, because it was B2B, we used to do the very traditional model. I don't trust email buying. I've never been a fan because it requires more work. You spend money and they sell to you maybe 5,000 emails. At the end of the day, you only have two, or okay, let me be more realistic, maybe 100 that is your ICP. And it takes a lot of stress for you to be able to segment that. I've been burnt by it, so I don't go there. So I'll speak on LinkedIn, and we do it very traditionally. I just tell the team what to do, and we start from the bottom of the funnel in terms of traditional method, and we already figure out, based on the business and past customers or past data that we have, we can identify, an ideal customer, and then we start to look for the businesses, and then when we get to the businesses, we look for the top 3 short callers. Because it's B2B, like you said, the cycle can be very frustrating. It takes 3 months, 6 months for a group of people to make a decision on something. And some other sad part is that 2 people have 2 other different businesses that they are referring. One person has this. So it can be quite frustrating. So we look for the top 3 short callers there, and we start to cold call or cold email them or cold message them. And it's what I do when, sometimes there is no budget to be allocated. And I think it is, one of the most efficient ways I have, been able to generate leads. And for the sales cycle, I can't say much on that. We'll look for a sales guru to do that. But it's both have to work hand in hand. And sometimes account-based marketing works too, because you guys will understand and then you focus on it. Some other times the pressure from the company to, can cause that break in transmission where we are, on one client and, we need to deliver. And then because this client is wasting so much time, you have to move on to others. But I think on that note, it would just be, leveraging the funnel and having to collaborate with the sales team to just see how, you can close out on that. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dami, and thank you, Alex. Damilola Shola, I hope you were able to get answers to your questions, right? And thank you for asking that beautiful question, really. So we'll continue with our set of questions. Oh, thank you. He's giving you a thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you, Dami. You're an amazing audience. Okay, so we'll continue with our conversation. And if you have any more questions, you can just also indicate. Digital strategies, especially in industries like healthcare, where trust and human connections are vital. We know, I think everybody in Nigeria knows about Reliance Health, right? So how do you see AI and automation support those strategies? Thank you.
Sorry, can you come again? I think I lost you on for a few seconds.
Oh, okay. I'll just repeat that again. I said, how do you foresee AI and automation supporting phygital strategies, especially in industries like healthcare, where trust and human connections are very vital?
All right. I think for the industry I am, which is healthcare, really it's just to, I mean, there's a way you use AI in such a way that it enhances experience. It doesn't really provide solutions, but it would enhance previous experiences. I think that's the way most people, especially in the business space, use it to ease your workflow, but at the same time use it to provide value to your existing suite of services. And what do I talk about when I look at value, and how do I see AI, how do I see myself using it in a few years? um, in this space where you need to, I mean, healthcare is key. You talk about health, one illness can you are just one illness away from being broke. Sometimes you are just on one side of the road and you don't know what can happen. And it's very key for people to understand, how close to their pockets healthcare should be. One thing I know that we are looking at is not only having personalized nudges on our mobile app, so that at any point in time, I think you know that we have SOS alerts on most phones. We have SOS alerts on iPhones and Androids now, and Androids, yes. One way we want to look at it is to really integrate into that, so that we can broadcast messaging automatically, or keep you within a radius of the closest RFC, hospital, or any hospital within our network. That's one way. Second way is we have what we call, there's the rise of what we call AI agents. AI agents have become, I don't know if there's a rising adoption in Nigeria now, but it's really being used in Europe and in America. But once there becomes a big adoption of AI agents, what it does really, it just takes out all the human element of having to call somebody to remind him to schedule his um, dental care, or to remind him to go to the gym, or to remind him to go for a spa session. Some of these things will just happen naturally. And most of the time, what we want to do is to make sure that it has the right spacing between your previous session and your next session. And once we can get this done, what you realize is that people start to people start to endear themselves towards your service. They will endear themselves towards whatever it is. Even they can start to compare you with other services, and it just makes you the next leader within your industry. And what that does is that it uplifts the industry as a whole. Once one brand steps up, another brand follows suit, everybody else benefits. The customer is always the ultimate winner.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alex. And we do hope to see more of that especially in the Nigerian sector, really, right? Because we have other aspects of the world already embracing this new reality that we find ourselves in today. And with that, I'll be asking the next set of questions to Dami. Dami, with the rise of digital experiences, how do you see, once again, we're throwing the AI question to you. So how do you see data and AI transforming the way educational platforms like VigiLearn can create more personalized learning experiences while maintaining users' trust and engagement? And I must add authenticity also.
Thank you, Antonia. You had to add that last one, yeah, because we don't know what is real anymore, right? I think the first thing I'd say is just, stay real, first of all, before I, break down what I'm about to say. I think that while, we are growing in this edtech space or the education, we need to ensure that we try as much as possible to put in more human effort. On LinkedIn recently, there was a post, that talked about the gap in the Nigerian job market, how people are, I think she said lying about certain skills, and I'll explain why I'm, using this as a case study. I said she had a lot of applicants and a lot of them lied on their resumes, and when it was time to do the job, they couldn't do that. They lacked, soft skills. They were not proactive. They didn't take ownership of these tasks. And I'm saying this because it stems from education, right? A lot of people can now easily just go and use AI to put in certain prompts and ask for an ATS compliant resume for a role. And I mean, humans are not even the ones that are reviewing these resumes. They also take them through another process of AI, and then on paper, this person is such an amazing candidate. And by the time the person comes into the company, there is so much regret. And then you have to go through that cycle again. So I'd say that the first thing is to not necessarily, take out the human touch in education. But, aside that, we're making sure that, even as at now, there are dashboards that whether or not you're physically present or, you're virtually connecting, you can, view your analytics even from the admin, aspect of it in terms of the institutions and, the lecturers and all of that. We're making sure that, you can do that. I would say some API integrations, customizable for certain platforms, for certain things you want to integrate. It could be payment methods. We've had clients where they say, oh, we don't want to use your own payment. We already have one and we don't want to switch. That works. Even as much as white labeling and all of that. So I'll just say that, first, the foundation is not, neglecting the human touch. I'll say real-time analytics dashboard that we can always optimize as time goes on. I'd already mentioned the custom recommended APIs, data privacy and transparency. That's very, very, because we've had customers who come say, you're making us super admin. Won't you have, no, it's all part of the SLA, and we make sure that we don't, delve into all of that. We're also ISO certified, in terms of security and all of that. So we ensure that all of these things are put in place. And I think, these are some of the things that we can improve on. Now, one last thing, which also resonates with the human touch is, the insights for course improvement. We don't get better without review. So we need to ensure that the reviews that we are getting will come from the humans, and AI would only, amplify what we have done, so whether you are in the corporate world, because we serve both people, we ensure that, this is also very, very, essential. the goal of Vigilant is not necessarily to replace the educator, right? We just want to empower them, with every necessary insight that they would need, yeah, so that's pretty much it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dami. I think I love the tag in your concluding part of your speech, which is AI will only amplify what you do. And then you also spoke about how the Phygital is not the product isn't to take away from the service providers, but really to amplify their efforts, right? And in incorporating AI in whatever aspect of business or services you render, implementing the Phygital model, you have to take in due diligence, just as how Dami shared with us some of the measures they had to lay in place, right? And then he also spoke about the importance of human insights, right? Because we want it to be as authentic as possible. And he spoke about the only way you're going to get that is by getting feedbacks from your clients, from your customers, right? Getting to know what their pain point is and how to serve them better, right? And with that, I'm going to be asking final parting words from Alex. And if you have any questions in our audience, this would be also an amazing time for you to drop your questions. So you have a question, you can drop it in the chats, or you can indicate by using the reaction, the raise of hands, and then we'll do well to pass the mic to you. So Alex, what would be today's conversation has truly, truly been impactful and insightful for me, right? And I've learned a lot from what we've spoken about. So if you're to summarize what we've talked about, what would be that one point you would want the audience to go home with, right? If they didn't hear, some people have been joining in at different times. So if they didn't hear anything, what would be that one point? Because at the end of the day, we want impact. We want people to hear these things and not just add to their archive of information, but actually implement the strategies that have been shared here today. So what would be that one thing you would be leaving the audience with today?
It's a difficult question. I think I've heard a lot, especially from Dami, and I think I've said a lot. But I think not to take away from the topic of the day, where we look at Phygital and its importance. I always like to put the customer first, whoever it may be. The customer is always the one who stands to gain. Your customer is the person who stands to gain, and they are the ones that feed you as a business, really. And it's important to get it right. Meet your customer where they are. Some are online, but they always need physical proof, which is offline. Times are hard, so they always need to verify who you are and make sure that you keep your brand experience similar, your offline experience, your online experience. Make sure that they are uniform. Make sure that your brand tone is on point. And I feel like as a business, you will always win. As a marketer, you will always win. There's so much technology out there. We've spoken a lot about AI. It will only enhance, what you do. And that's really my takeaway.
Thank you very much. So we have two modest speakers here. They don't really want to show up, but they know a lot of things, but they don't want to show up. Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much for that insight. And when you're you're speaking and giving us your last touch point for today, we had Orevo. I hope I pronounced your name. Please pardon me if I didn't. Who asked what would actually be a Phygital product or solution, please. I came in late. Welcome. Thank you so much for your question. We do appreciate you, and we thank you for also honoring our invitation and being here. So one thing you can do, you can go to our YouTube and you can rewatch the section. I promise you today's session has been truly, truly impactful, right? So you can just go and rewatch the segment. And then also just to give a brief solutions to your question. So Phygital is simply the convergence, I beg your pardon, of physical and virtual, right? And I would give an example of VG which Dami works with, right, as a growth marketer, right? And so what VG Learn does is one of the solutions they provide is the LMS, the learning platform, right? And we have the damn, you're shaking your head. Hope hope I'm not speaking off point. All right, so let's use the schooling example, right? So you have the normal school, right, where students will have to go there physically to maybe listen to a lecturer or attend the lecture, right? But with VGLearn, what you have is you have remarkable minds like Dami, right? Bringing off solutions like VGLearn who would enable customers from the comforts of their homes to still access those same informations right from their mobile devices, their laptops. So that's simply what Phygital is. It's just bridging the gap between the physical and then the virtual world. And with that, I'm going to pass the baton to Dami. Dami, hope I did a good job to that answer, and also would like to have your final remarks and take home for today.
I mean, I don't think I should have joined the call, Antonia, you know. I think you'd have just taken my spot. So yeah, I think that, you know, my own take would just be the fact that there is the, I don't want to call it rampage, but there is the, you know, existent surge of AI in the market now. And while we understand its benefits, it's also ideal that you don't lose yourself in the process, even as a marketing professional or as a business owner. You would wonder how people lived before the digital world. I mean, it started in the 90s, right? You know, web and all of that, but how did people before then live, right? Yes, there may have been constraints in terms of locations issue and all of that, but they lived, they traded, you know, I mean, countries even had to do a lot of trading, right? So we see the essence of AI, you know, optimizing what we have. But I'd say that the essence of Phygital is not to lose anyone. There is a reason why it is phi and then digital, right? It's not physical and then digital. We're not taking one out of each other. It's a mix of both, right? You don't lose the foundation to, you know, serve the new, right? And you don't build a house from the top. So we don't lose ourselves as, you know, marketing professionals. We go back to the basics, right? And sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you even just need a conversation with a fellow marketing person because we're creative by nature. And sometimes we have creative blocks. So there's this campaign we want to run and we're having this headache, and a simple conversation, you know, will go a long way. Now imagine when you don't have that human touch, you know, you can also say, okay, I only want to run ads, you know, not identifying the kind of business that you have, you know, and neglecting your ICPs. So I think that what we should understand is while we are embracing AI, you don't forget the basics. You know, it's a mix of both. It's rice and beans and Gary, something, you know, all of that. So yeah, that would be my takeaway. Thank you.
And that point hits home. I'm not sure if it's the rice and beans or if it was the point, but the point it hits home. And Dami, you answered the question to why you're here. How would I have coined those words? Who would have better put those insights the way you did, right? You spoke so much about not forgetting the foundations and how Phygital really is the mix of both, right? You're just ensuring nothing gets lost, right? And just mending the baskets to avoid any leakage of whatsoever. Dami Lola, I see your hands up. Dami, you have a question for us, but we have to stick to the time. Dami, you are fantastic. Thank you so much for joining in today. And also, okay, or Reve, I hope I pronounced it right. So thank you so much. You guys have been amazing. And thanks to all our amazing audience who have been part of today's conversation. It's 4, and we always like to stop at the communicated time out of respect of our audience schedule and plans for the day. So thank you so much. Thank you, Dami. Thank you, Alex, for being with us today. We do not take your presence for granted. Thank you to the curators of the MarkHack 4.0, that is Echo Innovation Center, and the GDM group. Thank you. And if you haven't signed up or registered for the MarkHack event, our beautiful social media manager had initially dropped the link to the registration. That is www.marktech, and then you can just register, secure your seat. It's going to be amazing. We have an amazing day, conference from 9 a.m. and then we have a beautiful award ceremony in the evening. The first MarTech ceremony, where we'll be giving out awards to innovative individuals and organizations in the marketing sector. And of course, we would have the privilege of watching the final pitch event of the MarkHack 4.0 startups pitch cohort, and it's going to be simply remarkable, right? So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dami, once more. I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you. Au revoir. Bye.